What's up, fellas? It's Mark Parson, cornerback pro, former NFL cornerback of the Houston Texans and the New Orleans Saints, and now I'm coaching y'all up. All right, so today we got a clip that I saw, and actually one of my young fellas sent it to me. I saw it previously, and then, yeah, like I said, one of my young fellas sent it to me. So I would definitely want to show it. It's actually Ohio State's football practice, and it's a press release drill. I'm going to show it, and then I'm going to talk more so from a coach's perspective on why the positives and negatives on both sides that I see. Um, and then hopefully players can learn from this too. I think it's important for you players actually to think from a coach's perspective as well, almost like a player coach, because when you start to do that, your football IQ will naturally increase, and then you probably get cool with your coach because you understand what he desires and what he wants. So this is actually for everybody. All right. I'm gonna play it 3 times. Make sure you guys, if you have any questions, email me at cornerbackpro@gmail.com. And like I tell all my guys, every single cornerback in the whole universe definitely needs the one-on-ones mastery program because we're gonna discuss it a little bit here. So it's gonna be a really good video. All right, let's get it. Got the receiver, got the cones, going against the corners, possibly safeties too in there. Now notice what the coach has the cornerback doing. He's taking away his hands, right? So he's forcing his corners to hold their collar, and I don't know if he told him to do soft shoe every time, but we're going to discuss it. First, we're going to talk about the receivers. So the guy that I see who posted this on his Instagram, he's a trainer, so he trains athletes. Looks like he does a pretty good job. The first time I saw him training was Andre Johnson. Trains a lot of top athletes, so shout out to him. All right, cool. So from a receiver standpoint, receivers can actually work on their releases on air, right? You got multiple releases. Like I told you, one of my homies, he actually created a video. If you don't have any releases, you don't know how to release, you can do a few things. You can watch guys do it. I know Billy McMullen, if you look up Wide Receiver Nation, he actually has a video series on some different releases. I know a lot of high school guys don't know many, but it's very important, just like I tell my corners, to know releases, right? Just I talk about press man techniques and all that good stuff. But all right, so what I'm saying is a receiver you can get better from this for sure. Positives, I mean, muscle memory, you know, just knowing the releases and practicing them and getting out of your cuts. So being very efficient with your releases, right? So positive, again, you can get better from this. Now here are the negatives from a receiver standpoint. To me, when you're going against a coach like me, a teacher like me, with my guys, you're not gonna know what technique we're gonna really do. I got like 8 to 9 techniques, right? So so the most important ability for me for a receiver is the ability to, okay, you have a plan, right? You know your releases, you know what you want to do, and then having to reset on the fly. So be able to, okay, he got me right here. Let's reset and then do it again, because that's very hard for a corner to guard. A cornerback can get you, right? He can get you, oh, got him. But then you reset and then get him again. It's harder for a cornerback to reset. That's why we train it, because your eyes can naturally just come up. You get kind of anxious a little bit at cornerback. So the ability for a receiver to have to reset on the fly, to be able to react on the fly. Because you're going against one of my corners, you're not going to know if he's going to do soft shoe. Like every single clip on this one, you got guys doing the soft shoe and then their hands are back taken away. You see what I'm saying? Their hands are taken away. So you know, okay, he's doing a soft shoe. I'm going to get on his toes get him off balance. I know he's not gonna strike me, so I'm gonna get really close to him. Like I said, step on his toes. Which with me, my cornerbacks, I tell my guys, if you stretch out your arms. Let's say you stand up next to a guy, you stretch out your arms. He shouldn't get that. He should never get closer than that to you when it comes to your press. I learned that from Prime himself, right? But it makes a lot of sense. We get in your toes, get in your chest, and you're not using your length of your arms, you're gonna get off balance. You're gonna go on your heels. So basically, you guys getting on, forcing the cornerbacks to get on their heels. It's uncomfortable, right? So if you know you can do that, you can have your way with somebody. Okay? If you know they're gonna do soft shoe technique every single time, there is no hesitation right here, right? And then obviously you're not looking at the ball like in the game, or maybe one-on-ones. You're possibly looking at the ball right here, so you're gonna have to look at the receiver out of the peripheral. So again, my goal is to make things as realistic as possible for you. So your ability to have to reset as a receiver and then get back into that move and then get into your route immediately and react, I would say that's most important for you. But again, from a receiver standpoint, you can get better from your releases, getting out of your cuts, staying low, all that good stuff. Now, here's my main thing for cornerbacks, and I will say this from a coaching's perspective, I don't hear me out on this one. Obviously, we don't remember our goal is to program ourselves and train ourselves and teach ourselves to be very deceptive, right? So you're like, well, coach, if we take away our hands, we can work on our feet, right? So, well, before I even get to that, number one, we don't want to do the same technique over and over again, right? So we call it a soft shoe technique. That's what Coach David Gibbs called it. Basically, it's inch back, right? The thing about it is, what if you would have just stood in there and did a kick step, right? So first, I'm just saying from a technique standpoint, I got all the techniques in the one-on-ones mastery. But let's say you did a kick step technique, and then he ran right, he ran right into you. Like, receiver's not really getting better from that, and you're not because you're taking away your arms. But what I'm saying is, we got to know that we cannot do the same technique over and over again because look how confident these receivers are. Let's go back and look how confident they are. Oh, they get into that route. Ooh, they getting into that route. Everybody does a soft shoe technique. Now, even if you're like, well, I just wanted to train that one technique, still, because now we're creating bad habits. You're like, okay, so in the soft shoe technique, how many steps back are we supposed to take? No more than what? 3. Because everything else turns into a back pedal, right? We're raising up. You see what I'm saying? And my goal, we got to understand how important the subconscious mind. We're opening up. We don't want to train bad habits. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, and it goes back to bad habits. I'm not a big fan of taking away. I'm not a big fan of taking away stuff. Because look, this whole press, man, is a machine. It's a machine. And what do I always say? Eyes, feet, hands. So first of all, know a plan. You have a plan. Eyes, feet, hands. You have a technique. You have your plan. What you gonna do? Soft shoe technique. Strike and get back to balance. Fake strike and get back to balance. Kick step. Right? Jump jam, fake jump jam. You got all this stuff. So you got a plan. You got a technique. You're gonna be deceptive. They can't know what you're gonna do. It's a mind game. Right? But then look, eyes, feet, hands. So without hands, that is not press man. Without eyes, that is not press man. Without feet, that is not press man. So for us to take away one of our it's like taking out the engine of a machine, taking out the transmission of the machine of the car. You don't have a car now. You know what I mean? It's not gonna work. It's not gonna function. So I think I get it. We want to handicap ourselves so that we, like, okay, well, I'm gonna focus on my eyes and my feet because, if I can do this, man, I'm telling you, it throws off everything. It throws off the whole balance. Life is about balance, man. So when we do this, we take away our hands, we take away our striker capability. I think it messes up everything. Now we can make things harder for ourselves. Well, how do we do that? Well, like we mentioned, and I actually seen Ohio State coach. I think it was an older clip from years ago. Don't know if they have the same DB coach, but we talk about boxing gloves, so where you can't grab a guy, but you can still strike. right? We talk about wearing super heavy cleats. So like when you working out or when you when you get in your press man, you're not gonna be able. It's gonna be heavier. So now it's a little handicap for you, but you can still move your feet, right? We even talked. Well, actually, I haven't talked about this. There's some tights, man. I want to sell them, y'all. There's some tights that restrict your hip movement, right? And your just basically your movement makes you harder to run, harder to move. But you still can move. We're not gonna take away one of your things. It's like, okay, if you blindfolded yourself, like, all right, well, let's blindfold ourselves. You taking away your eyes. That's not really smart because it's part of the machine. Eyes, feet, hands. I don't believe that. I believe that if you take one away, it's gonna throw off the balance. You see what I'm saying? So now we're getting in bad technique. Look at all of our cornerbacks. They're raising up, and then they're allowing guys to get getting close to them in areas where it's very uncomfortable for us because it's not supposed to be. You see what I'm saying, coaches? Now I get it. You like, well, shoot. You like, well, the Ohio State's doing it, so it must be right. I'm gonna tell you something, fellas. I've been around NFL coaches who didn't know this stuff. Okay, so I'm just giving you a heads up. They're good in scheme, though. They're good in scheme. And you know what? I like the Ohio State corners right now. I've been watching them. Extremely athletic guys. They usually have the best pick from athletes. Athletes in general. But I'm just saying, if we're going to train our technique, this isn't really conducive to us getting better. Like, so there's different ways to handicap yourself and be able to focus on certain stuff. But I'm not a big fan of this right here because we're creating bad habits. So remember, let's go over soft shoe technique. Soft shoe technique, and I would say it's bad habits on the receivers a little bit too. You know, but again, receivers get more benefit out of it because at the end of the day, they're getting out of their breaks, they're staying low, their hips are low, they're working on the releases, they're knowing the releases, right? So soft shoe technique, you don't want to take more than 3 steps back. All right. So that means let's watch this guy. Actually, let's watch the next guy. So soft shoe technique, if we're only taking 3 steps back, we're not going to be beyond this 5-yard line. It's not going to take us 5 yards back. You'll take 3 steps back. And I'm a big guy. I like it when you false step. I think the false step it creates balance for us. So you can false step, take 3 steps, no more than 3 steps back. Sometimes it may take 2, depending on how good your eyes are and how good you're mirroring the guy. And then you stop. So then if the receiver, check this out. And I demonstrated for you guys on the one-on-one mastery. So the receiver's still coming forward. Our hands are ready to do what? Bam! Strike. Remember, when we strike, eyes, feet, hands. So eyes on his waist, number 1. You have to be very disciplined with eyes on all your press men, but definitely the more passive ones. Like a soft shoe technique, eyes got to be very disciplined. You want to stay low, but your eyes will keep you low too. Then your feet, so you take no more than 3 steps back. Your feet are not going to be narrow like in a back pedal. They're going to be still parallel. They're still square. And then remember, look, those guys are coming off the ball. They're getting into them. They're getting on their toes. It's not like they're going, they're not like really trying to even open them up. And then, boom, firm, alternate, strike. So I believe in alternating strike, not like with 2 hands because your hips get locked. You see what I'm saying? That's not gonna happen if we only taking a couple steps back, 2 to 3 steps back, and our eyes are right, and then we're striking these guys. So really, this drill is teaching us bad habits. It's teaching us bad technique. If anything, I'm just telling you the truth. So I get it, you like making things harder for yourself, but there are other ways to do it. You don't want to take a whole part away from a machine. That's what I'm saying, because it's not gonna work. It's not gonna function. All right, you got to create balance. All right, fellas. So, coach, this is mostly for coaches, but I want my players to think like coaches too, so you can understand why you're doing things. All right. Make sure you guys email me at cornerbackpro@gmail.com. Ask me for the one-on-one mastery program, and I'll include everything else in there. Let's get better today. All right, fellas?